Hi everybody, we are here in class and I'm going to show you how to do the steps that we just talked about. So I logged into GitHub. If you have not made an account, obviously you need to make an account. I have a lot of repositories already here. You probably won't have any, but you can click up here the little plus to make a new repository, or you might see new here. Either way, let's make a new one. I'm going to call this MV project. You can write a little description of the project if you want. Let's not initialize a README or add licenses or anything. These are good ideas later, but let's not do them now. So I'll just create a repository, and here it is. And now they're giving you like instructions for like what you could do if you wanted to take your local project and add it to this GitHub remote repository. But that's what I'm going to show you. So here, make sure HTTPS is selected, not SSH. And this is the URL that you're going to use to connect your local computer to the remote repository. OK, so I've made a copy of that. So let's go to our project. Mine's called Text Analysis. So in VCS, if the project you're trying to add to GitHub is my project that you've cloned, then the VCS menu will just look like this. Otherwise, you'll have to say something like enable version control git, and then it will look like this. Once it looks like this, go to the Git menu, and we're going to add a remote because we want to connect our local computer to a remote computer. I already have a remote called Origin because I cloned this from my own remote. That's fine. You could have nothing here, and that's OK. Or you could have something here, in which case let's add another remote. So I'm going to call the remote, I don't know. So Origin is the usual name for your remote. I'm going to call it like, I'm going to call it remote 2. That is the worst name ever. All right. So I'm going to call it remote 2. I'll call it Origin 2. The sequel. And I've pasted URL here, and I'm clicking OK. All right, so now I have two remotes. Oh, this is a terrible name because I'm not going to remember which is which. OK. Great. So just connecting it to GitHub is not enough. And you can tell that because if you go to GitHub and you refresh your page, like there's nothing here. There is no code there yet. So I'm going to show you the next step is getting all your code there. There should be a version control menu down here in the lower left. If there's not, you can do Control-Shift-A and search for version control. And it says Alt-9 is how you make that menu appear. So unversioned files are files that you are not tracking using Git. So they're on your local computer, but they're not being processed at all or tracked. We don't want to track class files because those are compiled files. But you would want to track like any data files you have or any Java files you have. So I'm just going to select the various Java files that I have and some of the data files. If I want to start tracking them, you can right-click and say commit, which is like save this snapshot of what they look like right now. Usually you have a commit message here, which is like, what are the things that have changed since your last commit? Here I am, what would happen if I accepted this commit is I would add several files. That's a terrible commit message. Usually they should be more specific than that, but that's OK. You might have these things checked, which are like little things that you would do before allowing the snapshot. I don't want to do anything before we take the snapshot. I just want to do it. OK, so I click commit down here. Great. Now I have tracked all the files I want to track. If you see something that says default change list, these are files that I am tracking where changes have been made to them. Am I tracking my class files? So again, if there's any changes that have been made, you want to select the ones that you want to save, right-click, say commit. Have a commit message that's better than that one. Type, click commit. OK, great. Once this is blank, you're ready to send all those changes to the remote. Here's how you do that. You go to VCS, Git, and then push. Because I have two different remotes, I'm going to change which remote I'm pushing to. So here is origin. I'm going to change it to origin 2. So these are all the things I want to push to that remote that I just created. You click push. Ideally, it will just work. It might have you type in your GitHub credentials the first time. Great, so it says push successful. If there's an error message there, you should read what the error message says and maybe search it up. So now I'm back at my GitHub page. If I refresh the page, you will see that there are now files there. And like, that's my project. So now if you are your partner and your partner wants to set up the project on your home computer, couple of things. You can have them clone your project just by giving them this URL, and then they can create the project the way that they usually do. They'd say file, new, project from version control git, and they'd paste the URL, and like that would clone the remote onto their own local computer. They can't push unless you give them permission to push. So the way you do that is you would go to, inside your project, you would go to settings, and you'd go to collaborators, and then you would add a collaborators. So let's see if Yusuf, are any of these you?
Yusuf, Gerada, J. Select first last name, no count.
There he is. All right, so Yusuf is now a collaborator. So he's gotten an invitation, and you got to accept the invitation. So that's what you would do with your partner, and then they're able to push. I think that is all. 6 minutes, 7 minutes, not